person, but after watching the tape, what are your thoughts on Devin Neal's performance?
It was an outstanding day by him, by our offensive line, our offensive, the perimeter blocking, special day for a special guy. They just told the team, you know, some of the things that come his way are definitely still part of a team achievement. For our defense to be on the field, about 42 plays or something. We got off the field, gave us opportunities. It was a fitting end to a home career.
Yeah. Baylor's a team that's on its own winning streak
Yeah.
right now. Do you see any similarities outside of that, or just with that with your program?
You know, they're playing extremely well. They made a change at quarterback earlier in the year, and it's really paid off for them offensively. They found the rhythm. They're well balanced. They're physical, big up front. You know, they got a lot of weapons. Like everyone, they got about as good as receiving tight end. I think as we've gone against athletically, they've created explosive plays. Dave Aranda, after taking over the defense, has done a great job. After, you know, he's an outstanding defensive coordinator. They've been explosive in special teams in the return game. So it's going to be another big challenge for us on the road against a really good football team. Like we said, has played extremely well here in the last 5+ weeks. And you know, their game against Colorado was really a Hail Mary or so away from being a win before it went in overtime and then a fumble as they were going in to score. Otherwise, you don't know how that one turns. So this is a good football team, and a couple times we didn't play them last year, but the 2 other times we played, we struggled. So we gotta find a way to find our niche in this one and make it a game.
You mentioned after the win on Saturday the possibility of still playing in a bowl game this season. Like, how much of that is a topic of conversation this week, or is that not?
Again, we don't talk about it much. I think everyone knows that, you know, if you win, you're going to get a chance. It's almost like a playoff game where if you play, you win, you get a chance to play again. If you don't, your season's going to be over. So our guys have known what the bowl eligibility record needs to be, the number of wins, and so it doesn't need to be overly talked about. And we talk about trying to play better, and you know, we've gone through really 3 emotional weeks, 4 games in a row against ranked teams. We have to prevent any letdown in that because, as we said, we're playing a pretty hot football team and a very good football team. So being able to handle some success, handle the emotions and the physicality that's gone into these games will be a big challenge for us, and one that I felt today there was, you know, good attitude and way to go about it, and as we kind of get through the first installation of things today.
Trevor had the highlight play, almost hurdling the Colorado player. We've seen him pop up a couple times here during the winning streak. What does his season look like to you, and what does he bring?
Yeah, he's progressed. He's really kind of progressed confidently, and I think Jeff is, and Tyler Bolfing, who also works with Jeff at the tight ends, have done a nice job in his development. I think he's become a better blocker, which doesn't get noticed. He's worked on the physicality of his game throughout time, but he has shown himself to be the pass receiver and threat that we thought he could be. He's made some big catches, and it's good. You know, he and Jared both, I thought, had real solid days for us in the receiving corps, probably as much as we've had from that position versus the outside guys.
And you mentioned the offensive line when talking about Devin. How impressed have you been with that unit's level of play this year, and even for some, you know, not rotating as much, but for someone like Calvin to step in, you know, just how?
Yeah, you know, again, Calvin got pressed in action. I thought he played well. Again, he had the 1 penalty, but you know, even when he was that, he was aggressive, and hope that guy's okay. And that, you know, Calvin went through that where, you know, you try to keep guys ready and rotate. I thought Bryce Cable again played a really fine football game, and the ability to flip over the other side and play well. Bryce Foster had one of his better games. I think, again, the guys all up front, Kobe and Michael Ford. Michael Ford's a guy that we rarely talk about, but has been so steady for this program for 4 years and consistent. You know, it's a big day for them, and very gratifying because, we kind of challenged them, and, for us to have a chance to win this football game, it was gonna be done up front. I think we talked about that after the game, and I think those guys answered it.
And then we didn't see Daniel Highshaw at the game.
Yeah.
What's his status right now?
Right now, he's not, he's away from the team right now with a personal family matter that he's dealing with, so.
Lance, you talked about the emotional weeks. I wonder if you could give some input on what that has required for you guys over these last 4 weeks to take that mental edge and keep that sharp, and what your guys have had to go through mentally, not as much as physically, to just get on a run like this.
Well, again, it still goes to daily process of what we try to do and challenge them. They understand that we don't have a lot of leeway for any more negative outcomes if we're gonna have a continued way to play. But the biggest thing that we challenged again was still the same things that we talk about, even when things are going well, is to be a better version of ourselves than we were the day before. And it kind of challenged ourselves. One thing I didn't want us to be is challenge us to be the more physical football team, to be the more excited team to play, and don't let anyone ever question your will and your want to play this game, and which also goes into don't let anybody question your effort level, even when you're back to the wall, because just like in life, there's certain days you gotta go through it, even when things aren't going right. You don't get a chance to wake up and decide if you're gonna be a parent today, or if you're gonna be a spouse, or if you're gonna go to your responsibility of your work, the responsibility of what you signed up for. And when things don't go well, you gotta still find a way, and whether it be as a unit, as a team, or even back to the individual, you have to find that internal motivation and honestly professionalism and maturity to go about your responsibilities, and I think our guys have done that.
And you've given so much credit to your players and this program. I wonder how much personal pride there is for you, because you said a lot, you were questioned a lot about staying with the process and sticking with it. And how do you feel personally about where you guys are at right now?
I don't know, it's probably more I'll answer at the end of the year if you don't mind.
Sure,
We're not done yet, but, it's, when things aren't going right, to say that, this is a position, a job in coaching and athletics where we put ourselves into I don't know if it's not really a microscope or a spotlight, whatever you wanna say, that everything we do essentially gets second guessed all the time. And that's what it is, and that's what society has continued to highlight, I guess, in this profession. And, you can go on social media and during any football game and probably type in any coordinator's name that's going on that's not winning or moving the ball at the second, find out what everybody thinks about his employment status or something. And, as you go through that though, there's certain things that you have to continue to stay strong and believe in and go about it. But at the same time, I think what gets lost sometimes, guys, is people may, because they're emotional, they're fanatics, right? That's what fan is, right? And you get emotional into it, not understanding that we are many times our own worst critics in the room, okay, of what we're doing, how we're doing it, what can we do better. But there's certain things that happen and that you have to stay true to in what you're doing as you continue that analysis and evaluation within your program. And it's not always taking people out or making changes or doing those things. There's certain things, and we've said it through those times that we can all pick those plays. Somebody will probably write a story here about the top whatever plays and what our record could have been and something like that, and all of that if we would have done this instead of that, or if the ball would have bounced this way instead of that way. But we are what our record is, and we have a chance to find a way to win a sixth game and play. And I don't know about gratitude or whatever. Feeling good about anything right now. I just know that what I have to do is to the people that I'm responsible for, and to our fan base and all those that care, are we doing the best we can at this particular moment? And that's the thing, when you look in the mirror, are you doing the best you can, trying to do your best? And I've said it before to our players, so I'll say it to you, is that it isn't like we get together on Sunday and then we go, how can we jack this thing up and find a way to get fired and we can move our families and relocate our kids into new schools and do that. Okay, that's never the intention. Okay, and when you look at it, know that you're doing the best you can under the circumstances and you find a way to do it. It doesn't mean we're perfect. It doesn't mean that we can't get better and we need to, be, short-minded to new ideas. We just have to continue to evolve and be the best we can.
Lance, I think Logan tried to play through some stuff. Logan Brown tried to play through some stuff. Just how's he doing at this point?
He didn't practice today. I don't know. I put him in the doubtful area right now. So.
And then Jalen said that going through senior day was just about the fact he was graduating and wanting to be a part of that moment with his class. Is that how you saw it? Did you read
Yeah, that's kind of the conversation. Obviously, Jalen will continue to have a lot of decisions to make, and we know that is in today's world of it. And he's continued to play well here down the stretch. So, but again, a lot of those guys that had eligibility remaining, because this group was close, they wanted to do that. We had guys last year do the same that returned, and so there are parts of that I think we're getting close to getting through all the COVID years and all of that, but I'm sure there'll still be medical hardships and other things that there'll still be a day where there'll be sixth year and whatever guys, but there is a way that if somebody, they felt, and that was something that Jalen had expressed to us a while ago, that he was gonna do this, and rightfully so.
Lance, what I know, like Blake Harrell, Taylor Davis, Calvin Clemens, some of these young guys are getting some action, even special teams. How important is that for these guys to get that game action, losing so many seniors?
Yeah, it's expensive. It's the experience to get them in the game and get their feet wet, so to speak, in those environments. Jalen Todd, DJ Warner with the snaps, he's been able to get all of that and is critical, so that you're not essentially we'll be a younger team in some ways, but again, it's great for them to get it. They understand. You learn on the job. I think all those guys have made nice progress, and we look forward for their continued development.
And you guys have worked with the collective and doing that type of thing through NIL. Now it's about to change to rev share. What are you guys like meeting on and talking about, getting ready for that change?
Well, again, you look at what that's going to look like. When we get the direction from the administration, what it's going to look like, what those numbers are, and how we build out a roster from that point. And as we continue as we finish up the year, then we'll start having those conversations and what that'll look like for each player. And there'll be a lot of meetings and things like that as we go through.
To build off that real quick, I know there's going to be the roster limit changes. How does that present challenges for you as head coach when you know that there's got to be certain things that change with the number of guys you can have on a team?
Again, the roster reduction will obviously is something that we're not excited about as far as opportunities within the program. Walk-on players that have been here paying their own way have been great contributors and is really kind of a nice part of college football. We'll still have some, but not as many, and we have to look at as we've continued. Rob Ainello and our player personnel department / recruiting department has worked on this through the fall on different things, and we kind of look at what our numbers will be, how that's going to affect our practice model, and one that we've talked about a lot in here, and how much we like our practice model and what it's done for player development, but that'll be affected. So there'll be some changes as we go through this.
And then 11 a.m. kick on the road, as a head coach, is that the preferred kick? Would you rather have night? How does that kind of change things, or what do you prefer?
Well, it's our second 11 of the year, which is not very many this year, and I think we like it. I think this year we're staying in Waco, where 2 years ago we stayed in Temple, which is almost an hour away. So when you get an earlier kick like we did in West Virginia, you got a longer bus ride that does affect your morning. So I think from what Michael Painter, our director of football operations, has said, we should be in pretty good travel space in that. So being a morning practice team and getting up and getting going, I think is something that'll be good. We've had more night games probably than we've had in the past, and we had a stretch of these mid-afternoon kickoffs at home, so it'll be exciting. I think probably one that where it's at and everything, to sit around in a hotel on the road is always a little more difficult than what you'd like, so I think we'll look forward to that 11 a.m. kick.
How could it be a positive or a negative to play against a staff for which Jeff Grimes was so recently the offensive coordinator?
You know, I mean, obviously, you know, Jeff is an extreme professional and has nothing but positive about his time there. Obviously, it becomes a distraction when people ask about it, what the impact is, and though he expects that, you know, I know he'll prepare for this like he does every game, but I'm sure there's probably something there that probably will resonate to him. And you know, he has a son on the other team, so that also plays a part. Jordan, you popped up, you'd act like you didn't know that.
No, I didn't.
Okay, I thought you hurt your neck, but
No, I'm okay. I'm in stretch.
But, you know, so I think there's something, you know, AJ Stewart and Tyler Bolfing on our offensive staff as well, we're part of that staff last year, so obviously, I'm sure there's stuff with some personnel that they have some familiarity with, but again, there's enough changes that evolve at this time of the year. I think the teams have kind of created their identity in their own way as this year's progressed.
Anything else for Coach?